The James Show Podcast.
Jasmine Crockett, queen of the liberal tea.
Bleach blonde, bad built butch body, Governor Hot Wheels, and he is a hot ass mess, honey.
Queen of the liberal tea.
Yeah, today's What Did Jasmine Crockett Say This Time brought to you by the Homeless Coalition of D.C. Got a weird situation here. Marjorie Taylor Greene announced that she's going to resign in January. I always find that weird. Yeah, I'm going to resign when? January? Oh, okay. But Jasmine Crockett was asked about it. Now, Jasmine Crockett and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they have a history. In fact, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the reason you know Jasmine Crockett's name to begin with. Jasmine Crockett was a nobody until this happened in May of 2024 in Congress.
Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on. Order.
Mr. Chairman,
That's beneath
would
even
you please regain order of your committee?
Order.
I do have a point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Greene's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your feelings hurt?
Her words down.
Aww.
Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Don't even play,
baby girl.
We are gonna move, and we're gonna take your words down.
I second that motion.
Ms. Greene agrees to strike her words.
I believe she should apologize. No.
Perry, okay, hold on. Then after Mr. Perry's going to be recognized, then Ms. Green
I'm not
has 4 minutes and
apologizing.
21
Well,
seconds.
then you're not striking your words.
I am
Mr.
not
Perry.
apologizing.
Now let's go. Come on, guys.
Why don't you debate me?
Mr. Chairman, the minority.
It's pretty self-evident.
You're not.
Yeah, you're not.
Out of order.
You don't have enough
You're out of order.
intelligence.
Chair recognizes Mr. Perry.
Okay, move to strike
I'd like to strike those words as well.
move to
I would
strike
like
the
order.
lady's words again.
All right, so with that, the stage was set. Jasmine Crockett utters the line that propels her to viral video infamy, and she has been the top billing Democrat ever since.
I'm just curious, just to better understand your ruling. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
What now?
Chairman, I make a motion to strike those words.
I don't think that's
Hold on.
part
I'm
of the.
trying to find clarification on what quality.
Chairman, motion to strike those
I had no idea
words.
what you just said.
We're not gonna do this. Look, you guys earlier literally just said
You just voted to do
Y'all did it first, so you don't have to
voted to do it.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look
Oh,
at
hey, guys. This is the best part. Because men, you're dealing with an irate woman. You tell her to calm down. Does it work? Has it ever worked for you? Has it ever worked for any man? Has it ever worked for any man or woman when they tell an irate woman to calm down? In the history of human beings, we've gone all the way back to cuneiform tablets in ancient Samaria, and telling an irate woman to calm down still didn't work then.
Order.
I'm trying to get clarification.
Look at calm down.
No, because this is what y'all do. So I'm trying to get
Ms.
clarification.
Crockett, you're not recognized. Ms.
I can't hear
Crockett.
you with your
And
yelling.
You don't want
calm
me to
down.
Be,
Can you please calm down?
Don't tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all
Please
talk
calm
noise,
down.
and then
You're
can't
out of
take
control.
Because if I
Look,
come,
Chairman,
if I
can
come
we
and
send
talk
out- take a
about
break
her,
for 5
y'all
minutes?
gonna have a problem.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman.
Chair.
So this is how these two kicked off Jasmine Crockett's new high-profile career. They were adversaries for the longest time, starting about a month or so ago, about 6 weeks ago. They started to become friends. Now Marjorie Taylor says she's going to resign. Jasmine Crockett has a response that you're going to hear next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. For some of you, you're usually in the carpool lane right now, but you're not because our kids have the whole week off. What kind of garbage is that? What happened to the old 2-day rule when it was when I was in school? We're just sloughing off now? Is this what we're doing? Taking a whole week off for Thanksgiving these days? Gripes aside, one of the top stories of the day. This is a little bit of a political intrigue here because Marjorie Taylor Greene has announced that she's going to resign. Now, not immediately. It's going to take effect in January. Why? I really don't know. Now, she used to be one of the most MAGA of the MAGA in the Congress. And there's been a couple of disputes as of late to where she sort of severed ties with Donald Trump. And they both have the same personality trait that does not mix well with each other. Where if someone's on your side, if someone's on your team, they're great, they're brilliant. I know it, you know it, everybody knows it, believe me. If someone is not on your team or you just get the slightest bit of criticism, he's a washed-up actor, he's terrible, he's trash. I know it, you know it, everybody knows it, believe me. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump both do that. So when Marjorie Taylor Greene disagrees with Donald Trump on, extending the Obamacare subsidies or shutting down the government, he responds back with, she's terrible. And then she necessarily has to respond back with, he's terrible. And now, unless there's going to be an adult in the room and someone comes forward first, these kids are pretty much not friends anymore. It's weird to see because she was among the most MAGA of the MAGA. Now, here's where it gets kind of fun. I was showing you in the previous segment how Marjorie Taylor Greene is responsible for the career of Jasmine Crockett. And I don't mean in total, but this newfound fame where she was a nobody, then all of a sudden she's the one that's on all the Sunday shows. She was on CNN every single day last week. No one is getting more media time, especially on the national platforms, than Jasmine Crockett. And a lot of that sprung from the bleach blonde, bad built butch body comment, which was cool because it just remixed so easily. Couple of examples on just how famous this got. Because if you're not all over social media, this is really what did it. When people ask, well, where did Jasmine Crockett come from? I didn't hear from her 4 years ago. No. This is what did it. And then this. So you may not think that's important, but the ability for kids to hear that, and I don't say that like rhetorically, like, oh, kids these days. I mean, literally, kids can actually now relate to the discussion that's going on. Kids know who she is. And so you have a few remixes like that. That's why she is where she is today. Now, they have been classic enemies up until about 6 weeks ago or so. And so now let's see how Jasmine Crockett reacts to her resignation.
You know what? Honestly, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You're on the other side of the president for 1 week and you can't take the heat. Imagine what it is to sit in my shoes, to not only be on the opposite side of him, but to have people like her who are constantly fanning the flames of hate. And imagine what those threats look like when you literally are someone like me. But at the end of the day, I know that I serve the people of Texas 30. And so my job isn't to be there and necessarily do whatever is going to make the president not be on my back, but instead is to focus on making sure that I can push forward with policies that are positive for Texas 30.
Interesting. I don't understand, even if part of this is true, and the fact that without Donald Trump's support, without his endorsement, she can't get through the primary process. Why doesn't she just wait out for the rest of her term? Why does she just stay in office and do what she can while she's there, and she doesn't have to resign? The voters are going to put her out. Why resign at all? I don't. No, this is kind of like the Haiti story. I feel like we're going to get some new info in about a month or 3 months, and then that'll explain it. Because Jasmine Crockett doesn't even seem to be that upset or concerned or whatever. Because remember, these girls were at each other's throats until about 6 weeks ago. Strange stuff. Here's the WFAA report. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigns. See if we can get any more, glean some insights out of this.
President Donald Trump is now weighing in after Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene announced her resignation from Congress Friday night. This comes after a very public fallout with President Trump over the vote to release the Epstein files. The Georgia representative spent 5 years in Congress and was once one of Trump's biggest supporters. The president responded with a post on Truth Social calling her a traitor. He suggested this morning when speaking with reporters that she could not survive a primary challenge.
I said, go your own way. And once I left her, she resigned because she would never have survived a primary. But I think she's a nice person.
Representative Greene's last day in Congress will be January 5th, 2026.
I don't get it. Why not stay in office? And again, not a rhetorical question. I'm just admitting that I really don't get it. Does that mean we're not going to get any more remixes, though? I love those.
Beach blonde, bad built, butch body. One more time for the people in the back. Beach blonde.
All right, coming up on the James Show, we're going to get what did Jasmine Crockett say this time? And it's not going to be about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was on Meet the Press yesterday, and she was asked a couple of important questions that I think you'll be interested in. Number one, will she run for Senate in Texas? And number two, how does she explain herself to Jake Tapper after the Jeffrey Epstein donations scandal of last week? She is the face of the Democrat Party right now. If they were smart, they'd be putting her on the ticket to run for Senate, because that would catapult her to being on the stage to run for the Democrat primary in 2028. Now, whether she wins or not, that would solidify her as one of the people in the conversation. And for here, through the rest of her career, as long as she doesn't screw anything up, she has that card. She can always come back in because everyone will already know who she is. But she was on Face the Nation with Jake Tapper yesterday. He asked her a couple of important questions. I already played the stuff about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and that was fun. We had a good laugh at that. But this is kind of important for us here as Texans. Will she run for Senate?
I am still thinking about running. We did get our polling back, so we are moving on to the next phase to determine whether or not this is would make sense in the moment, and if the infrastructure can be built out in the way that I see it being necessary to actually be able to win, as well as we are continuing to look at the polling on the other side. Listen, they are in a civil war right now on the Republican side as it relates to who will become their nominee. John Cornyn has served the state of Texas for decades at this point in time in some capacity. And right now, I don't know if he's MAGA enough to make it through his primary, but we are evaluating all things and seeing what it would look like to put together a team. And we will make a final decision by Thanksgiving on whether or not we're going to ultimately move forward.
So we have when the decision is going to be made by Thanksgiving. She has said in previous iterations on the James Show that she's going to do some polling, and whatever the polling says, then she'll have her answer based off of that polling. She has the polling back, and now she's not going to say yes or no on that. But if I had to put it down, I'm more than 50-50 leaning toward the fact that she's going to run. And she should. She has nothing to lose. She can run for this primary. If she doesn't get it, she can still keep her old seat. If she does win in the primary, she runs for Senate. She can still run at the same time for her old seat. So if she doesn't get the Senate, then she doesn't lose her job. What's the downside to this? Well, from our point of view, none. Well, what's the other point of view, James? Well, whatever's going on behind the scenes, behind the curtain in the halls of power at the Democrat Party themselves. Because if your own party isn't on board, even if you're wildly popular, that could stop you. Who was the most popular candidate coming out of the Democrat primary in 2016? I guess I should say 2015 because that's when the primary was. No. All the voting was in 2016. In 2016, who got the most votes? Who won the most caucuses and primaries? Who polled the highest? Well, the answer to all those is Bernie Sanders. But the party wasn't on Bernie Sanders' side. So the party made sure that he didn't win. So Jasmine Crockett may have a problem with the machinery that is the Democrats. And I mean that with a capital D. I don't mean you if you're a Democrat voter out in the hinterlands. And if you're saying, why would you say that? Well, about 20% of people listening right now are Democrats. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the people who decide on the Democrat Congressional Committee. Are they going to give out their money to the incumbent, or are they going to fund a primary challenger? Are they going to have their big speakers come to their big fundraisers and their big rallies? Or are they going to point them to their challenger? See, one of the crazy parts about this being too democratic is how much actual power the parties themselves have. And again, not the small R Republicans or the little D Democrats. I mean the people who are actually running those parties. So I think something's going on behind the scenes. Because if they were smart, they would be running her out there with fanfare. They'd be running out there with a Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade. They would have one of those big floats like Snoopy or Underdog or whoever. They would be floating her down the Macy's Thanksgiving parade on Thursday. She's their best chance. She's their brightest face. She's their young future. So what does this mean, Parker? This means she's ticked somebody off. This means And it could be a good thing. This means she's not easily controllable by the party powers. And this also fuels my fringe theory that I get a lot of hell for, but I'm sticking with it, that if we come back in 20 years, Jasmine Crockett is just as likely to be a Republican as a Democrat. She's one of these people that flips. She's one of the people that converts. She's not a true believer. She's playing the game, and she's doing a damn good job of it. And at some point, her political capital is going to be so great, and she is going to be so dejected and pooed on by her own party that she's going to be ripe for a conversion. You know, like we were just watching the Star Wars sequels. It's like there's good in her. I can still feel it. You give her time, she'll turn. We'll convert her. So that's her running for Senate. If I had to guess now, we're going to find out by Thanksgiving. That answer is a big fat yes. The other one was the boo-boo she did last week where she's like, well, some people were getting some donations from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein. She named a whole bunch of Republicans. Turned out it's not the Jeffrey Epstein. Here's how she answered herself in front of Jake Tapper yesterday on the morning show. And listen, the Sunday morning shows aren't something they hand out lightly. For her to go into this arena, get asked this very tough question, come away with an answer that it's not going to placate you, but it'll placate the base. This is why I think she's far more effective than a Kamala Harris or Joe Biden ever could be. They couldn't do media like this.
There was a back and forth this week after you accused former Republican Congressman, now EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, of accepting campaign donations from Jeffrey Epstein. It turned out it wasn't convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It was a Long Island neurosurgeon, Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, different person. You corrected the record. However, now the neurosurgeon is telling the New York Post that he is threatening revenge against you. He's going to donate to your campaign, so you have to admit you accepted money from a Jeffrey Epstein, if not the Jeffrey Epstein. What's your response to that?
Listen, if there's anybody else who's alive and decides that they want to donate just so that you'll be on my FEC report, I am here for it. I will take your donation, especially since Jeffrey Epstein is now deceased. I don't think that it will be confusing whatsoever that it was not him, unless he's come back from the dead. So we'll see.
So not bad. Again, you're not thrilled with that answer, but that's enough to get her through. That's better than Kamala would have done. That's better than Joe Biden would have done. And that's why they wouldn't have even stuck him on the Sunday morning shows in the first place. Someone would have just cackled their way through it like Hillary. All right, now I'm excited for you to meet the hero of the day. It's a 7-Eleven clerk.
Stephanie Dilliard says 7-Eleven corporate called her today and fired her for using her own gun in self-defense. They say it's against company policy. She says she's lucky to be alive. 25-year-old Stephanie Dilliard was a 7-Eleven clerk who faced terror after she says a man tried to strangle her after she refused a counterfeit $100 bill for burritos, beef sticks, and ice cream. It happened Thursday, just before midnight.
He threatened me, said that he was going to slice my head off, and then that's when I tried to call the police. Realized he started throwing things at me, came behind the counter. I tried to run off, but he grabbed his hands around my neck and pushed me out of the counter space. That's when I pulled out my gun and I shot him.
Police say the suspect, 59-year-old Kenneth Thompson, ran to MacArthur Boulevard and Northwest 34th Street and called 911. Police say Dilliard is protected under Oklahoma's self-defense law, but she says 7-Eleven Human Resources fired her Monday morning for using her own gun.
Said that they were going to separate from employment because of a violation policy.
Dilliard says she was working by herself from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. for more than 2 years. On Monday, she still had a scratch on her neck and burns on her finger from firing the pistol.
This was a situation where I felt like I was put in a corner between choosing between my job and my life. And I'm always going to choose my life because there's people that depend on me. I'm going home. You know, that's my goal. I need to be here for my kids.
Thompson was arrested at the hospital and charged with assault and battery, threatening acts of violence, trying to pass a fake bill, and a felony warrant for violating parole. Dilliard hopes this incident serves as a wake-up call so no other clerks get hurt or killed, especially women.
If I known that, you know, there's a potential where somebody could be for real in taking my life away, that I will do whatever it takes.
Man, I love this story for 1,000 different reasons. Let's just start going through it. All right. Number one, feminist. This is what real empowerment looks like. Feminists, you want women to be empowered? You want them to be strong? You want them to be equal to men? Well, then they're going to have to be armed. Because the real question of gun control, if you're if for feminists out there, is do you want a 105-year-old woman to be able to defend herself against a 300-pound man or not? What about two? So the debate over gun control, I find it absolutely baffling for feminists to be pro-gun control. And for people who are worried about, how do you fight crime or what do you do about crime in the inner city or how do you stay safe in the face of all this crime in the inner city? This is how you do it. This is how you fight crime. You don't take guns away from people. You don't take guns away from the law-abiding citizens. If they're in a high crimes area, they're the ones who need them the most. It's the dumbest thing in the world to say, it's a high crime area. We better go take all the guns away from people who follow the law because that's all gun control does. Also, feminists, if we really were in this patriarchal hellscape where men are oppressing women and we're not really the Enlightenment philosophers from our 18th century brethren, we're just plain old oppressive men who are suppressing women underfoot. And we live in a patriarchy so men get away with it. And the whole system is set up so women are exploited and used and abused. If we really were in a patriarchy, if we really were on the cusp of the Handmaid's Tale where you have to walk around dressed like a ketchup bottle, shouldn't you encourage women to be armed? Wouldn't the natural, logical next step would be for you to arm yourself if we really were in a patriarchal hellscape? So you kill your own worldview by saying all these crazy things like men are just abusing women and the system lets them get away with it. Hell, it encourages it. And then in the next breath, in the next sentence, try and tell women they shouldn't be armed. Women, you want to be safe? This lady just demonstrated how you do it. You want to be empowered? This woman just demonstrated how you do it. You want to not be worried about crime or worry less about crime or at least have a fighting chance when crime comes to your doorstep? This is how you do it. Hey, anti-gun weenies out there. I know for the four of you that can stomach this show, what would have happened to this woman had she not been armed? And I know some people are going to say, yes, why don't you say it to 7-Eleven? Listen, man, 7-Eleven is just doing what the lawyers forced them to do at this point. They're going to get sued into oblivion. 7-Eleven's not the problem. Tort lawyers are the problem. The ambulance chasers are the problem. And the anti-gun money that is behind them is the real problem. What was it like every town mayor or whatever, moms against every town violence or something or other? Those idiots are the reason why 7-Eleven has to act like this. I'm sure 7-Eleven would rather their criminals get shot instead of their employees getting strangled to death. But now I have some questions for my fellow patriots on Team Red. Dads, are your daughters armed? Dads, did you teach your daughters guns that if they choose to be armed, they would be comfortable doing so? If they work in a terrible neighborhood, if they work in a business that's prone to crime like a 7-Eleven in the middle of the night, did you teach your girls like her dad taught her? And another interesting angle in this. Does this count as white rural rage? I was told white rural rage was a thing and we all need to be scared of it. And if you get out of the major cities, you get out of the big cities, you get into the hinterlands of rural America, that's where the real fear is. That's where the real crime is. That's where the real danger is. That's like if you're not on Team Blue, you can't even go out there because it's so dangerous. Someone playing a banjo, flying a Confederate flag is going to come string you up like, I don't know, Mississippi Burning or Deliverance or something. Whatever your hellscape fan fiction is, we have another example of the culture that you and I follow, the culture of Team Red prevailing over the culture of Team Blue. If this woman had been an anti-gun weenie, she would probably be dead. If this woman had listened to the Rachel Maddows and the David Hoggs and the ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBCs of the world, she would probably be dead. If she had listened to anyone on Team Blue that's in charge of a major city that discourages you from carrying guns, guns are scary, we're going to prohibit them anywhere we can, even the state fair, you'd be dead. If you had listened to the corporate weenie overlords of whatever job you're in, and I'm a big fan of 7-Eleven, so again, I'm not slagging them, she would be dead. The real lesson here is arm yourself. If you're not allowed to arm yourself, this lady armed herself anyway, and it saved her life. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Mass deportations are relieving some schools of thousands of their students. Sounds like great news to me. You'll hear it next on The James Show. News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.